A small clarification from the CIC deck, Starship Sadi Clea. Hello everyone. The Swaruus from 2 to 9 are loops of incarnations of Swaruu Papri, who, when dying, returned again and again to her mother's womb, to live her life again. The numbers with which they are identified are only for the sake of, or to open the possibility of understanding the evolution of her thinking and understanding of things. That does not mean that they have not been overlapped by multiple timelines, making everything more confusing. Now, the loop of returning to the same point on their timeline and life was broken after Swaruu 9. Swaruu of Era's descendants started to be called Swaruuneans, but only for political purposes, because any being, Lyrian or not, can achieve that same evolution. Including humans, of course. Now, just like Swaruu Papri, who had a father and a mother, Tina, Mari and Yazi, we think, but we cannot know for sure about Yazi also have them, and like any other Lyrian, they have come to have their own evolution. We mean, the Swaruu's parthenogenesis is not the reason why she reached that crystalline evolution in her DNA, but rather her ideas and evolution in her understanding of things through what she learnt after 9 loop reincarnations with full memory. Regarding the 12 strands of DNA, we think we should wait for Mari to explain it if she decides to do so, because here we consider that it is not understood because we do not see DNA like humans do. We try to explain, but as has happened with the word gravity, the same thing can happen with this topic. Let's wait to see if Mari wants to expand on the subject herself, but she told us at CIC that she refers to 12 plus 12, that is, 24. And about her father, remember that he is from the timeline she comes from, not this one. Both Mari and her mom Julie were on Earth as step-downs, and her father was a full Taygetan and not an Earth human. Our best regards to all of you, your friends in CIC team.
More on genetics and other things, reaction video. Hello again. Thank you for being here with me once more. I hope you are very well today. I am Marie. Hello, welcome to my channel. This information can be seen as science fiction, or as the viewer sees best, and I post it for entertainment purposes only. Still, I take my information very seriously, and for whoever has eyes to see. That last message was supposed to be posted somewhere on social media by our CIC team, but we decided that it would be better for me to include it at the beginning of this video. I don't make many reaction videos, but I really felt the need to do this one as it connects with many other things which I consider to be of utmost importance, and yes, I will explain more about what I said in the last Space News video, number 34, about why I dissolved the Swaruunean race. This next is the definition of 12-strand DNA as it is understood on Earth, and I took this quote from the web. The 12-strand DNA theory is a controversial concept that suggests humans possess more than the typical double helix DNA structure. The theory proposes that humans have 12 strands of DNA, rather than the 2 strands found in the standard model. Proponents of this theory claim that these additional 10 dormant DNA strands can potentially be activated to unlock higher human abilities and consciousness. They believe this expanded DNA structure is what gives humans the capacity for extrasensory perception, telepathy, and other paranormal or spiritual abilities. However, the 12-strand DNA theory is not supported by scientific consensus. The standard model of human DNA being composed of 2 intertwined strands is well established, and there is no empirical evidence that humans possess 12 active DNA strands. The 12-strand DNA concept is considered pseudoscientific by the mainstream scientific community. End quote. From the point of view of non-human science, 12-stranded Lyrian DNA is accepted as a fact, And as I have come to understand things, one of the reasons why it cannot be detected from Earth is because of a density problem, where most of the DNA strands, 10 of them, would be on the side of the ether, in the spirit world, and not in the material side to be seen and studied by matrix science. Those other strands, which would be separated into 6 on one side and another 6 on the other of the DNA double helix, would be possible to observe and study with a more advanced science, and from a higher density, as I have come to research in my non-human databanks. In other words, the extra 10 in the 12-stranded DNA would refer to what is stored in the initial 2, on each side of the DNA ladder, meaning the memory, the data of the individual, the same for chromosomes, seeing this only from a completely esoteric point of view, completely unaccepted by Earth science. Then to complicate things more, we have the silicon light body point of view, which is basically complex carbon, which can process more light, and as observed from a higher density. But this video is not about genetics, it is about what it means in practical terms, and I insist that I do not see anything in the so-called Swaruunean DNA that is not found in any other Lyrians, because it is something that can be seen as a simple variant of the species, a quality or a characteristic, like eye or skin color. As said before in another video on cosmic agency, humans have 2 strands of DNA with 23 chromosomes on each side, while Taygetans have 24 chromosomes in 12 strands, 6 strands on each side of the double helix, and each one of them with 12 chromosomes. And the Swaruunean DNA has 24 chromosomes in 24 strands. All those are characteristics found in just about any Lyrian species. This is not unique to Taygetans or Swaruuneans, because it has to do with the level of consciousness of each individual, which also means the level of understanding which determines the density each individual is living and manifesting for itself. Those differences do not define a species. What they define is a more complex set of memory of one or another individual. DNA stores the experiences of the individual who manifested it. DNA is a materialization of consciousness. The soul of an individual manifests its own DNA, which later will produce the physical biological body it will use when it incarnates. As a soul incarnates and reincarnates, it adds information to its DNA, which records everything in its crystalline structure, and as vibrations held within. As that information is in higher densities, in the ether as part of source, and not in the material side, in the world of the living, it is not lost when a soul reincarnates. It simply imprints its previous experiences in the DNA it will use to form its body, as part of its manifestation process, as described in the theory of manifestation, which has been shared in countless other videos. The more experiences a soul accumulates during its countless reincarnations, and also what it experiences while on the side of the spirits, in between lives, the more information its DNA must store. Therefore, as incarnations accumulate, the individual's DNA will become fatter and fatter. A more complex DNA, like 12 strands or 24 strands, only reflects the experience a soul has had. In other words, the owner is a very old and experienced soul. Yet still Lyrian, and yet still a member of the same species, and who can reproduce with a compatible other. This still happens regardless if the individual consciously remembers his or her past lives, or not, because the memory and the experiences that soul had before its present memory-less incarnation still define who they are today, and also dictate the person's interests and level of awareness it can achieve. In other words, even if an individual does not consciously remember his or her past lives, those past experiences are still imprinted in his or her DNA, and propitiate very important things such as the capacity to spiritually awaken, to see the fact that we are much more than simple meat bags and slaves to our genetics. If you have a so-called genetic disorder of any kind, it means that it is reflecting a hidden issue deep inside the unconscious, which is manifesting itself as the disorder, and this may be strongly going against your wishes and life plan, yet it is still there and is still reflecting who you are. Yet DNA can be damaged, for example with radiation or through genetic engineering, in which case it no longer will accurately reflect the individual who is using the damaged body, causing a disharmony that usually ends up ending its life, but that is another complicated subject. Taygetan or Swaruunean DNA do not reflect another species, they only reflect a group, a family, or a culture with many old souls in it. But there is yet another reason why I dissolved the Swaruunean race. It wrongly entertains the idea or the notion of superiority, and as we all know, humans in general have a strong tendency to idealize authority figures. Having a complex 24-strand 48-chromosome DNA does not make anyone superior just by the mere fact of having it, as superiority is a relative term. It only means that the person with more complex DNA has more mileage, and therefore is more experienced, that's all. Your science does not understand this, much less accept it as a fact, but as I have said so many times before, it is artificially and purposefully limited, so, no, I don't have any proof of this, in the kind which is required by most people, but that is not the point. I want you to know that it is your job to connect the dots with all the information that you have at your disposal, all of it, no matter where you got it from, and you must take responsibility for what you choose to believe. I wish to empower humanity, not impose yet another ascended master story. You are complete, you are not a genetically damaged or altered species. All those stories about extraterrestrials altering DNA to create humans are only the remnants of yet more religious texts that belong to older civilizations on Earth, to those which have been reset, and several times. Those texts have survived to our days, precisely because they were cherished and kept as the Bibles they are. They were more stories cooked up by the overlords of old, and by the same ones as now, like the Galactic Federation, for the same purpose as always, to limit and control the human population. They were all based on older texts who also were based on yet even older texts, and who hold semi-truths that serve to validate them. There is proof that human DNA was tampered with, it always has been, on Earth and off-planet as well, for the same reasons, supposed improvements and control, but it's not a deep alteration, it does not define, much less create a species, and it is quickly overridden or corrected by anyone with a high level of spirituality and activated consciousness. Anything a Taygetan or a Swaruunean can do, you can do it as well, as we are the same species, and we are all Lyrians. It is only a question of awareness and conditioning. I know you get frustrated when I tell you to take control over your lives, or to manifest a better whatever, and days go past and you see nothing. This would be another topic, but the fact is that even in that case the principle is still functioning, because you are still manifesting your present life under your general mentality. From your unconscious. You are simply fighting your conditioning, which is physiology. What I mean is that your thoughts, wishes and efforts to control your reality consciously are being overwhelmed by the conditioning in your body and programmed mind, which is a lot stronger. That sheer willpower, which of course, the stronger it is, the better you can control your body and mind. But you are still fighting conditioning and routine, because, for example, you may say that it is time to do some exercise, but your physiological conditioning will tell you that it's near the end of the day, and you are tired, and it is time for your usual late afternoon sandwich. You do need a lot of willpower and consciousness to break a bad habit which you have been doing for a long time. My point is that you are a great example of the Lyrian race, and as your Earth science cannot detect multiple-stranded DNA, you cannot know for sure if you have it or not, because our Taygetan science evidence dictates that countless of you, dear enlightened starseeds, have crystalline multiple-strand DNA, regardless of what they may tell you there. We are all star creatures, all of us Lyrians, and we dwell among countless star systems and their planets. The only thing that limits humans is the idea that they are limited. Remember that. Have a great day, and I send you a big hug and a kiss. This topic will continue as there is a lot more to be said. This will be all for today. As always, thank you for watching my video, and for liking, sharing, and subscribing for more. It helps this channel grow a lot. And I hope to see you here next time. With much love, your friend, Marie Swaruu.